I don't get it.
Podcast.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween.
Halloween week.
Do the laugh that you used to do that used to like almost give you an aneurysm.
I will have a heart attack.
Just do it once.
I basically have a heart attack every time
you
my
used to do
feet
this.
touch
Is
the
it like-
ground when I wake up.
Is it like the Joker laugh?
No.
Okay, let's see what happens. I'm gonna put my headphones in so I can hear what it sounds like.
It's not very far off from Naz's original.
I know,
laugh.
right?
Mine's
Natural
good.
laugh.
Oh, wait, my original. I thought you
Your
were going to say
original
my
laugh.
evil laugh.
No.
You want to hear my evil laugh?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Both
similar.
very good.
Point,
Good
very
job, guys.
similar.
Lauren's
Thanks.
really like comes out of her diaphragm. It like kind of freaks me out.
Graham.
All right. So I don't get it about Halloween and horror things. So by the way, guys, this is your horror themed podcast. It's going to be about scary situations, whether them ghostly
Whether
or
them paranormal,
real life,
kidnapping,
Yeah.
Or
stalker.
just not getting a text back, anything that's really
Basically, this
terrifying.
only the scariest things.
In honor of it being Halloween.
Yeah.
week.
So my I don't get it Halloween themed is The Shining. So I watched an hour and a half or so of it. I feel like a couple years ago, and I was so bored I had to turn it off. I was like, no, this is
You
just
really
not
got to get
scary.
into it. It can't just be in
Wow.
passing.
Yeah.
I agree.
So then yesterday I saw on TV like the last 30, 40 minutes was on. So I was like, okay, well, let me see that now. And I watched it. I think Shelley Duvall's face is the scariest part of it all.
Her teeth are terrifying.
I don't
is
mean like
a-
that she's
I
unattractive.
think she's very pretty.
I think she's
She's cute.
stunning.
Yeah.
She has the most perfect horror face
Yeah.
ever, but she
With
looks
her
like
facial expressions. It's kind of like Sissy Spacek in Carrie.
yeah.
It's like you're pretty, and yet there's something about like the faces you make that make you really freaky.
she's a perfect quote unquote final girl, but she looks like a Tim Burton character. almost
so
to
much.
me. Like come to life,
Absolutely.
you know,
Much.
like
So
the
much.
eyes.
That wasn't my I don't get it though. My I don't get is it a haunted house or is there a murder or is Jack Nicholson a murderer?
The hotel. Well,
like
Lauren,
is it a haunted hotel or but then there's also a murderer?
The
in it?
baseline is that it's a haunted hotel.
Okay.
Which is at the beginning when they're taking the tour, they say that they built it on an Indian burial ground.
Okay.
So there's already like spirits that get caught there. If negative energy's there, it's there. So then also the theory is that Jack Nicholson was reincarnated as the first murderer who murdered his children.
Okay.
So he's just a reincarnation. That's why at the end you see him in that
The
picture.
Yeah.
Spoiler, but
so
yes.
that was
Yeah,
the guy.
I'm sorry, 1979 or
Yeah, I
whatever.
know. Spoiler if you haven't seen the
I
past
just
40
say
years.
people are crazy these days. They're like, I turned on a podcast, didn't know The Shining. Like,
That's
why not?
funny.
Yeah, I watched it with Lauren, and Lauren had to explain to me that he gets possessed in the movie.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because there's this moment. Obviously, Stanley Kubrick does his like infamous zoom in, and Jack's eye. First of all, Jack. We just talked about Shelley Duvall. Jack Nicholson has the most perfect evil eyebrows in the entire world.
Absolutely.
In my head, I was like, did he get Botox just in the middle? Because you know
No.
sometimes
They
your
just go
eyebrows
up.
can do that.
No.
It's he's so perfectly evil in it. But yeah, I didn't realize that it was almost like the hotel possessed him.
Okay.
That's where I get confused,
So
Lauren,
I'm
to be
glad that
honest.
this wasn't
There's
a
a-
whacked
no.
out like I don't get it where like it was because I didn't watch the whole thing.
There's a lot of different theories. Also,
Exactly.
people say that maybe it's just all simply because you're isolated in those mountains and cabin fever can make you do crazy shit.
Okay.
So it could be that. It could be mental illness. It could be
It's all of it. Or
possession.
the woman, the therapist in the beginning of the movie who talks about auto-hypnosis.
Auto-hypnosis, which is just basically a medical term for like the shining and many
Yeah.
different things. You can
Okay,
interpret
good.
any way you really want it.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he's coming after them with an axe, but there's also the blood through the doorway, which is like the most famous creepy scene. But I'm like, what was
I wanna
that
know how
blood?
they did the
What
blood.
is that?
I know the blood scene. You
You're like,
mean?
how did they do that?
I
Back
don't know,
in the
but
day,
that's
like the
iconic.
70s.
I always
Yeah.
think about that. I'm like, how did he pull off all this snow with the budget? Like, was it actually snowing outside, or because there has to be a lot of fake snow?
A lot
I mean,
of
who
fake
knows?
snow.
I don't know. I want to look that
on
up
top
too.
of real snow.
But actually, it just hit me. He's 100% reincarnated because I forget what the guy's name. The first man that killed his family did it with an axe. Grady. Killed his family with an axe in the
Okay.
West Wing. So he obviously is reincarnated doing it the same exact way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
All right, yeah. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
whatever.
guys. Thanks for clarifying it.
The
Now
Shining.
I get it.
It was
Can't wait for
funny.
Dr. Sleep.
It was Naz and I watched The Shining, and then Ashley watched The Shining, and then Jack texted me. And was like, I'm watching The Shining, and I was like, okay. And then
He was watching
finished
it at the same time I
Yeah, he
was.
finished it last night, and then he was like, so it came to me that I am Jack and you are Shelley Duvall.
Oh,
He
great.
said,
What?
but you're not dumb enough to bring me sandwiches when I'm working.
You're not dumb enough?
Lauren.
It's like a whole bunch of messed up
I
in
know,
one statement.
This is
because he
terrifying.
gets really mad when he's working and there's disruptions, and I was like, "You are Jack, and you're terrifying." And then I'm
yeah,
Shelley,
and
like,
his name's
"Hi,
Jack."
Looks like there's going to be a nice night out. And he's like, "God damn it!"
Okay.
Anyway, I thought that was kind of a fun comparison that I noticed when I was watching, and then he realized when he was watching.
Oh, so you
Weird.
did notice that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad fun is the word you're using to describe it. It's a little
So
terrifying.
fun. Living in a horror movie. Okay, but our listeners
Mm-hmm.
wrote in. They lived in a horror movie a little bit, and they have some stories that they're going to share. And just a glimpse, these are really good.
Excellent
just a glimpse?
transition.
Just
Lauren.
a glimpse.
You mean with your just a glimpse, you see that they're very good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Naz and I don't know about the stories. We like keeping it a mystery, like you guys. Lauren has the synopsis paragraphs. Before we move on, just because this is kind of like a transition from our other podcast from a couple weeks ago to this, I had a dream last night that we moved into a haunted house. And of course, like the second I wake up, was sweaty, and I was seeing the ghosts, and like things were opening and closing on their own, but it was like a great apartment. And I was like, how can we not do that? Like, how can we not take this? But we had already like signed the contract, and then we realized it was haunted. And then I looked up what it meant, and it meant like something like not having closure with like past relatives and like all this.
Wow, that's interesting.
But not just that. Like it's really family oriented. That's what it means. It's like having like a disruption with like family. But I think it has to do with my grandma, because yesterday I called her,
Bubby?
Yeah, and she was like, "It's so nice that you call to say hi." And she's like, "I just like because we're not that close." I was like, "Why do you have to say that?"
Aww.
And then I'm like,
that made you sad.
that made me sad. And then I started thinking yesterday about like, when she dies, am I going to be like, I gave enough or whatnot? You know what I mean?
I know 100% what you mean, because you guys know how my grandma passed
Yeah.
away earlier this year. And
Yeah.
so obviously I was close to her growing up, but not so much as like an adult. But my grandfather, ever since I was little, and right now I'm close with, and he's the one that's married to her. And I wasn't going to go home for Thanksgiving because, flights are like so expensive to fly to Florida Thanksgiving and Christmas. But my mom told me grandpa is going.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to go. I have to spend time with my grandpa. My
Yeah.
grandma
You're
just
not
passed
gonna
away.
regret spending
Yeah.
that
Right,
money.
exactly.
Yeah,
I think
so
about that
true.
stuff all the time.
Yeah, you should definitely think like that.
Okay, guys. So if you have experienced anything traumatizing or horrific, like the people on our podcast, or you really just want to talk to a counselor because you're dealing with depression, stress, anxiety, anything dealing with relationships, or just sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, grief, self-esteem, I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorite sponsors that we have on this podcast. It's really near and dear to my heart. It's called BetterHelp, and it's online counseling that's there for you. So basically, this website connects you with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. It is so convenient. You can do it if you're traveling all the time, or if you can't afford therapy, because therapy is very expensive. You can do this in the privacy of your own home. Anything you share is confidential. And if you're not happy with your counselor for any reason, you can actually request a new one at any time. They have over 3,000 U.S. licensed therapists across all 50 states, are available worldwide, and
You can start communicating in under 24 hours, and it's available on desktop, mobile web, Android, and iOS apps. There's financial aid available for those who qualify, and it's secure, convenient, professional, and affordable. And best of all, it is an affordable option because the I Don't Get It listeners get 10% off your first month with a discount code GET IT.
You can text your therapist, chat on the computer, phone, video, and you can talk about anything, of course: depression, stress, anxiety, sleeping issues, trauma, LGBT matters, grief, self-esteem, anything.
yes. But I do want to mention, guys, that this is not a crisis line, but I do feel like it's a really great, convenient way if you're feeling down or if you just want someone to talk to. So like Lauren said, it's a truly affordable option. I Don't Get It listeners get 10% off your first month with our discount code GET IT. So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/getit. All you have to do is fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor that you love. That's betterhelp.com/getit.
Okay. Are we ready to get our first caller on the line?
Lauren, I'm really excited to hear these because I feel like you're a resident horror expert and you're really excited by them.
I'm very excited,
I'm
guys.
Scared.
So here we go. Let's call our first caller, whose name is anonymous, oddly enough.
Oh, wow.
All right, let's call.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Anonymous.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Welcome to the I Don't Get It podcast.
Okay, Anonymous, would you like to tell us your spooky story? Tell us from the very beginning.
Okay, so like how far from the top do you want to go? Because I can get pretty from the top or I can go a little shorter version.
Probably shorter version.
Like everyone listening is so mad right now.
I know. I was like, I kind of want the top.
Oh, I don't know. I like to say to keep it to like 10-minute stories.
Agreed.
So depending on how much you think 10 minutes will take.
I don't think it'll be 10 minutes. So I'll go from the top and then you guys can use whatever you want to use.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so from the top. So I live in Des Moines, Iowa.
Great place. Been there. It's iconic.
Great place. Anyways, I live in Des Moines, Iowa, and I used to host Airbnb in my house. So 2 summers ago, I had a guest stay with me, and he was from Belgium, and he was bicycling across the United States.
He already sounds crazy.
I know.
Mike Posner's walking across the United States.
Really?
Oh my God,
Isn't that
I know.
crazy?
It's for attention.
So this guy stays at my house for 3 nights, and then he goes on his way. And he was biking towards California or Los Angeles. So about a week later, he was biking through Omaha, and it was a Sunday night or a Sunday that he was there. So I was like, oh, I'll come hang out with you. We had a really fun time hanging out, and I was like, I love traveling and I love different cultures. So anyways, I was like, yeah, I'll come meet up with you.
But like hang out as friends or like you guys are kind of into each other? Or?
Like maybe we made out, but
Maybe we made. Okay, got it. Makes sense.
Maybe we made out, but yeah, anyway. So I'm like, okay, I'll come hang out with you in Omaha for the day. It's like a little more than a 2-hour drive. So I drove to Omaha and we hung out. And maybe around midnight, he was, unlike Mike Posner, he decided to cheat and he took the train across Nebraska because he was like, if this is anything like the Midwest, I can't bike anymore. So I'm like, yep, totally get it. Yeah, take the train. You're not missing Nebraska.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good choice.
Yep. So anyways, he gets on the train at like midnight and then I'm heading back to Des Moines. And I remember him saying to me something along the lines of, be safe, like have a safe drive, be safe when you get back to Des Moines. And I thought to myself, okay, you don't know Des Moines. It's Des Moines. It's the safest place ever. Like, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. So I get into my drive, and I'm about 45 minutes from home. And I decided to call my girlfriend because I know she's a night owl, and I needed to stay awake on this drive. So eventually, when I got to Des Moines, I exited, and I didn't really know like when this person started following me, but I was about 3 blocks from home and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm being followed. Like this thought crossed my mind, like this car is following me. And I usually don't think those kind of things. So I thought this kind of weird. And not to mention I was on the phone, which probably a little bit distracted. So instantly I thought like, okay, I'm 3 blocks from my house and there's on the block before mine, there's like a street that's not a through street. So it only lasts like 2 blocks long, this street. So I'm like, okay, I'll turn down this street and assuming this person's not following me and I'm just being crazy, they'll go into their house, which is on the street. Right. So I turn and I go down the 2 blocks to the stop sign and this guy is still behind me. So by this point, my heart is like beating faster. I'm still talking to my friend. I'm like, girl, what do? I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. So she's like, keep driving, keep driving. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep driving. Maybe it's a fluke. So I turn again. And basically I go through like 7 more blocks of residential streets. When we turned into this residential area, it was off of like a main boulevard. So I end up going 10 blocks overall through the residential streets and turned back onto the main boulevard because I'm still freaking out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to the interstate and I'll drive downtown to my friend's house. So I turned to go back to the interstate and this car kept going on the main boulevard. And
oh my goodness.
because they realized that I knew that they knew that they were following me.
Wow.
So
This is terrifying.
all they had to think is that, oh my God, there's definitely somebody looking out for me that night. Because there's, I don't know. I just have to think that if I pulled into my driveway that I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. I would have been a national news story. So now I'm super cautious every time I drive home at night alone, and make sure that there's no cars even behind me when I'm entering my street.
Wait. Where did you go?
How did you lose them?
Yeah.
So I went back to that main boulevard and I headed back towards the interstate and they kept going down the main boulevard.
Oh,
so
for
essentially
some
like,
reason-
So they were like, "Oh, okay, she knows I'm on to her, so I'm just gonna try and find another chick."
yeah. So from like this main boulevard, I led them like off of it and then back onto it. And we drove like 10 blocks through residential streets.
Oh, okay.
But
And then
you
they
ended up making it
continued
to
on.
your friends, right? Like safely, and then you lost them basically.
Well, after that, I saw that they were gone. I just got back on the interstate, went down a couple more exits and just took like internal roads back home.
I'm very curious as
You
to
went
what would have
back home.
happened.
That's terrifying. Honestly, have you guys ever felt like someone was following you?
No.
I think I
felt like
made it
that-
up in my mind.
Yeah, like I felt like maybe for 2 blocks and then I've turned and then they weren't. But that's a scary feeling if you went that long.
What made you
It's
go
so
home
scary.
instead of going somewhere that you maybe would have deemed a little bit safer?
Well, I don't know, because it was like 3 a.m. I'm like, okay, they're not following me anymore. It's probably fine. So I just drove like whatever 15 or 20 more minutes around, make sure nobody was following me. And I pulled into my garage. I was still on the phone with my girlfriend the whole time.
Okay.
Nice.
I called the cops the next day though, because I was like, okay, I'm still super creeped out about this. I know nothing about this car or, any of the personal details about this person, but I decided, okay, I'm going to call the cops just in case anyone else has made reports about this. And they told me if it ever happens again to give them a call, like while I'm driving, and give them my coordinates so they can come follow, I guess, the guy that's following me,
Right.
and pull him over for suspicious
Because
activity.
obviously that person's going to do it to someone else. So they might as
Yeah.
well-
Yeah, I think it was smart you called because what if like a lot of people reported that?
Before
Wow,
we
that's
leave,
crazy.
I just have a question. Why did you tell us the backstory about the guy who stayed with you in the Airbnb and all that? Because that makes me feel like you may have thought that he was suspicious. Like
that he was the one,
could
maybe?
possibly have been in it, or was that just like you wanted to tell us where you were?
No, yeah, more or less. I don't think that he had anything to do with it at all. More or less just why I was coming home at midnight on a Sunday going into Monday.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's very creepy.
I know, that is so creepy. I don't know what I would do if someone was like following me. I'd be so terrified.
I would get out and be like, "Show your face, demon!"
I probably I would probably have called 911.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just
Yeah,
kept
call
driving.
911.
that's
Yeah,
For sure.
As I get older, I'm like a lot less scared to tell
Yeah, it's like,
security
why not?
that, that I'm concerned.
Thank you
All right,
so
well,
much.
thank you, Anonymous. Thanks for calling in.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, guys, we're obviously a little puzzled after getting Anonymous off the line. That was not as scary as Lauren thought it was, even
Lauren,
though I
I thought
just
it was
told
gonna
her.
be-
When I read the synopsis, I just read the beginning so I wouldn't, hear the whole story. And I was like, oh, there's got to be something that happens.
I
you know?
think it 100% is terrifying to have someone follow you,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
if you're
absolutely.
alone and you're a woman. Fuck yeah, that's
Totally
terrifying.
scary.
But I really thought that maybe she was going to say the man that was staying in her Airbnb like murdered her
Well,
or
obviously
something.
he didn't murder her now.
I mean,
She said that twice. Yeah.
that's not what I meant. You know what I mean? Like slash her.
Like he came
Or,
after
like, be
her,
like, "Hey."
or like tried to rape her, or
Attempted to
something.
murder is what I meant to say.
yeah.
Or like was just a super
Sorry.
eerie dude like staying at her house. So when she told us the backstory of like her hosting Airbnb and especially in the middle of nowhere to a foreigner who's riding across America on a bike, like it sounded eerie.
It sounds like a perfect Lifetime film.
Absolutely.
All right.
And
well,
then,
on to the next Lifetime.
and then it just
film.
turned into two separate stories. Really.
Still scary.
Small funny story. I just got
Take a break from all this.
take a break from all this. So I just
horror.
got some tinted moisturizer from Beauty Counter.
I got the same exact one.
Yeah, we all got the same one. And I was looking at Jack. He looked a little splotchy. And I was like, wait, let me put this lotion on you. I rubbed it in my hands. I put it on his face. He looked at me. He goes, what is this? I look so good. What? He goes, can I have this? Can I have it? I was like, no, you cannot have it. But I'm like, but you need your own tinted moisturizer because he sometimes uses a Maybelline powder pack to cover some
really?
imperfections.
Like
I was
redness and stuff?
Yeah, some redness,
Yeah.
some under eye stuff. So he was like, I feel like I'm basically a man putting just lotion on, covering all the splotches. And this stuff works so good when you wake up in the morning, you're a little dry and you don't want to put on a full face of makeup. So you just use this tinted moisturizer.
I remember Scott Disick was like, well, yeah, I wear tinted moisturizer
Yes.
every day.
Yeah,
I
guys
think I
love
should
this
if they
shit.
want it. And if you guys want to buy a tinted moisturizer for any man in your life or for yourself, the one,
It's really for you girls listening.
that's
not
true.
Anyone.
I use it. He uses
For
it. It's
anyone. As
great.
we had Manny on last week. What am I saying?
right. Ours is from Beauty Counter, and Beauty Counter is the leading clean beauty brand, and they create innovative and high performing products, as Jack just told us through Lauren, that are safer and cleaner than ever than their like minded competitors.
So
I also want to mention that I've been
Yeah.
using the cleansing balm, and it's really cool. It's the first cleansing
lip
balm.
stuff? Lip stuff?
Cleansing
No, it's
balm.
like the big,
Yeah.
for
When I hear-
taking your makeup
taking
off.
off
Right?
makeup
Sorry,
off.
when I hear balm, I think lip balm.
No, that's the new thing is like not using makeup remover wipes or formula. It's using that balm. So like I like it.
I
It's
love
very
it. It's
hydrating.
moisturizing. Yeah.
So from moisturizers to makeup, cleansers to sunscreen, Beauty Counter is at the forefront of using clean ingredients to produce products that are effective and that really work. So personally, my favorite product is, like I said, the tinted moisturizer. I put it on right when I wake up. I look refreshed and I look clean and moisturized.
It's so easy. It's something you guys should definitely check out at beautycounter.com. That's beautycounter.com.
All right, so we got our next caller. We're about to call our next person.
I can't believe I said murdered.
I know.
She said the murder. She off air said the murderer thing. You
Yeah.
guys, if
I
you were
thought
counting.
she was murdered.
Yeah, sorry. It's
Okay.
it's a Sunday morning.
You could say that, but like, it's a Tuesday afternoon.
I know you can say that about anything. It's so true. It's been a long day.
It's a Sunday morning is probably the most relaxed your mind can be.
I'm still waking up, Ashley. I've had no coffee. I thought we were recording this at your
You
house.
woke up 12 hours
What do
ago.
you mean?
It's 11:30.
Can I just say?
Jesus.
You
trying
wake
to
up
make
at 3 a.m.,
excuses.
right?
Can I just say that I was on my way to buy a coffee this morning, and I said, "No, I'm going to have coffee at Ashley's house because
Oh,
she has
do you
the
need one?
pumpkin spice creamer."
does
I have
this
coffee.
too.
And then when you guys said we're recording at yours, Lauren, I was like, "Oh wow."
Well, let me brew you a coffee in the middle of our callers, okay?
Just fucking with you.
All right, well, let's get our...
Wait, no. Now we need to vet you, Lauren, a little more. Did you read this whole story, or did you just read the first 3 sentences?
I read the first 2 sentences.
Okay, let's see what
I
happened.
don't want to know anymore.
Let's see what happened.
Okay. Okay, we got our second caller on the line. We have Kelly. Kelly, please tell us your horrifying story.
Okay. So I am now currently a social worker. That means I'm just like a therapist, but last year was my final semester of grad school. So it's kind of like an internship. So I was working at an inpatient hospital for kiddos like age 5 to 17. And they have to be like suicidal, homicidal, or have really aggressive behaviors like trying to beat people up or being kicked out of school. So while I was there, in the last semester, I was finally trusted to see these kids without my supervisor, so I could see them one-on-one, which is pretty scary because they could attack you. But
Is there
They're like-
monitors, like cameras in the room?
there's cameras, but not in the nurse's station because they have to be kind of private because that's where they get exams done. So like the room that I was in is super small. It's like the size of a closet, and there's nothing in there.
Doesn't she sound like Becca Tilly?
Yeah.
You have like Becca Tilly's voice. That's so weird.
Wait, yeah, keep
Oh,
talking.
thank you.
Oh my God, that's so
She
weird.
does sound
I love
Okay,
how
continue.
she's literally saying her terrifying
I'm
experience.
sorry,
You sound like
I
Becca
can't
Tilly.
get over it, and I won't be able to continue with the story until I say it.
But so is security prevalent around this hospital?
Yes, like it's completely locked down. You have to like have a badge to get through every door. But the nurses station has like little rooms for exams, so you have to like badge them through into the nurses station, and then you can go into one of the rooms for privacy.
Okay.
What kind of exams? Are you talking like physical exams or mental exams?
Both.
Okay.
So like the nurses and the doctors will exam and talk to them about medications, and then the therapists will like pull them out and do mental health exams, and you speak to the nurses and doctors about what's going on with them mental health wise.
Do you use Rorschach ink blots? Last question.
So
She doesn't use ink blots.
Keep going.
okay. So one day I had this kid in there with me. He had just turned 17. So I was doing my assessment with him for just getting to the hospital. So I'm sitting in this small room behind a desk, asking him questions about his family and school life and like why he got to the hospital. So as I'm asking him all these questions, he's like, well, I'm here because I have been doing rituals and asking for the devil and his demons to come into my body. And he said that some of the demons now occupy his body and he no longer feels pain, cold, or heat. So I was like, okay, super creepy. But I'm like, if you believe that stuff and you allow it to come in your body, like it probably is going to start having some weird things happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So a little after he gets done telling me about his rituals, I notice that he's holding his right wrist, like just holding it really tight. Like I can see his fingers like kind of turning colors. So I'm like, are you okay? I see that you're holding your arm. What's going on? And he was like, well, the right side of my body is all demon. And I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm like kind of freaking out whenever he's saying that. So I just continue going because I try not to like keep commenting on that because then he'll continue to talk about it. So that's when things start getting way creepier. So I'm sitting across from this desk from him, and the only thing in there is like a wall behind me. There's no decorations or anything because they could pull things off the walls and like hurt you or hurt themselves. So and I will say that the only thing in the room is in the corner behind the desk that I'm sitting in is a fire alarm in the top right of the room. So that is like something to remember. So as I'm sitting across from him, he starts looking over my shoulder, kind of like where the fire alarm is, like glancing back and forth between me and the fire alarm. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask him what he's looking at, even though I don't want to know. And I said, what are you looking at? And he said, well, the wall's on fire behind you, and there's a demon standing there.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking, holy hell, the demon has to be standing beside me. Like, why does he have to be standing beside me? Like, call him over by you. But then, okay, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. As
I honestly, my heart just dropped.
That was a good pause, though, for dramatic effect.
The demon got your throat.
I was like, holy shit.
oh yeah,
is
the
this
demon
like-
got my throat for sure.
Oh my God.
But like my hair starts standing up on my neck, on my arms, my legs, and I'm like internally losing like everything going on. So the exact place that he's looking at where he says the demon is standing, the alarm starts going off.
Oh my God.
no
I have goosebumps.
Me too. Me too.
Oh, wow.
holy
I thought you were going to have to say
shit.
that you had to pull the alarm because you
No.
were so scared.
Are
and that was the
you
only way
fucking
out.
kidding
Are
me?
you fucking kidding me?
I am not even lying. Where he was looking, where the demon was standing, beside me, the alarm starts going
My
off.
whole
and we're
body.
in this tiny room. So, like, it's so loud that I'm covering my ears because, like, it's one of those big alarms of, like, a hospital facility. So it's not a little one. Like, it's loud and it's happening everywhere. So I'm covering my ears, and I look up at the alarm, and I look back at him. And, of course, this child can't feel any pain. So he's just looking straight at me, and his face is kind of, like, tilted. And his eyes, I swear to you, were, like, completely black.
Oh.
Like, I had no idea how he was sitting there not covering his ears because everyone in the building was covering their ears. It was so loud. So I'm kind of thinking, okay, I'm about to die. He's about to jump across this table and get me.
my
But I jump up and I'm like, okay, back to the unit because we can't finish anything. I'm yelling it. So I text my supervisor and I'm like, get the hell in here so I can tell you what I just experienced.
Oh, that was not a stinker story.
Did you have to evacuate the building?
No, like a family, I guess, down the hallway carried in a purse and it had one of those like jewels in it or something. And I guess it exploded in the person's purse. And that's why the fire alarms went off.
These fucking vape pens.
So they were able to track it, not to your room.
No, because in the room that they were in, they have cameras because that's where they bring families in for family sessions. So that was on camera of that exploding in this lady's purse. Wow. And I was in a room that didn't have a camera. So, like, there's no way.
But the coincidence,
I was experiencing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like all the way across the building is when that was happening. So I don't know. Like to this day, I still like have bad dreams about it. And I like after that situation, when I was driving home, was like calling my mom and my dad and my grandma and was like, please pray over me because I was just in the room with some kind of paranormal being and it was not okay.
Wow, that would definitely shake me too.
Holy shit.
Have you treated this patient again?
No, he was only there for like 2 weeks and went home. So I never saw him again.
I want to know if he's okay.
I'm worried about his parents.
I'm worried about him.
I know. It was super scary.
He was the one that said, I want the demons inside me.
Yeah, but Ashley, maybe that's the demons talking.
Maybe it's Lauren. I don't know. Maybe it's schizophrenia.
Yes, true.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That was absolutely terrifying. I still have chills all over my body, literally from head to toe. That was very good and scary.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for calling in, Kelly.
Yes, thank you so much for calling me. I love you guys. Ashley, congratulations on just getting married. I've listened to you guys from the very beginning, so I'm so happy to be able to talk on here.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Thanks for listening, Kelly. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Bye.
Lauren,
wow, very
that was good. That was good.
That was terrifying.
Rothy's. I know you guys hear about them all the time, but that's because they are so good and so many people are wearing them. They come in new different colors and designs, patterns, and even shapes every month. So you got to keep checking back because you're going to get addicted to them because you can find a Rothy's for every outfit. Rothy's goes with basically every outfit too because it goes with skirts, yoga pants, jeans.
That is so true. That's a great point. It's hard to find a shoe that goes with everything.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes I'm wearing jeans and I'm like, I can't wear my sneakers with these jeans. But Rothy's you can throw on. They're so versatile.
They're very versatile. And you can just get a plain black flat that goes with every single thing and it doesn't hurt your toesies or your ankle.
It's really comfortable.
I don't know if you guys are the same, but the reason I'm so obsessed with Rothy's is because it's the first flat I've ever owned that doesn't cut up the back of my ankle.
Yes. Why do shoes do that?
It'll also blow your mind that they're made from recycled water bottles.
It's crazy. I love that this company is sustainable, which is another reason why I love them.
They've diverted over 35 million water bottles.
It's really bizarre.
And they made them into shoes.
And they are machine washable, so you could just stick them in, and it's like it feels like clothes. You know, it's like very expandable. And it doesn't feel like your foot is confined, especially since I have wide feet. It just kind of like flexes with my foot, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, like it molds to your foot. Yeah. But it also comes with free shipping and free returns, guys, and exchanges. So there's no risk, no worries, no reason not to try.
So go to Rothy's, that's ROTHYS.com/get it to get your favorite new flats. And their comfort, style, and sustainability, these are the shoes you've been waiting for. Head to Rothys.com/get it today.
I think Lauren needs to share some stories of her own for a second. So there's two that stand out there's actually three. Lauren and I have three ghost stories together. I'm going to make them really brief. So one time I was in high school. Lauren was in middle school. And it must have been like 10:30 school night. Dad was downstairs in his office. Mom was
on the
like
couch. Mom was asleep.
Like asleep, getting ready for bed, something like that. And Lauren was still hanging out in the family room. I was in bed. And I heard this opera singer, like the voice of an opera singer.
It was,
Like Lauren sounds she's
echoed
great
through
at that.
the house.
Like, but specifically,
Like you heard it loudly.
Yeah, specifically like just vibrating through our foyer,
yeah.
which is like it's a really big 2-story, open space, and it to me sounded like something like I was in an actual opera house, like that loud and blaring.
Right.
And then I go downstairs and I'm like, Lauren, did you hear that? Like we were both like we both met in like the hallway.
what was
we're
that?
like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And then my dad, who was awake in like right next to the room that Lauren was in,
nothing.
didn't hear anything
In the office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the geography
I
of it.
know your whole house.
So like he didn't hear it, and I swear to you, it was like one of those vibrations that only kids can hear,
and Lauren,
adults
heard it.
can't
Yeah,
hear
we
it.
heard,
'Cause
I
it's a
heard
frequency.
it. Ashley heard it. It was, and then we met in the middle. We're like, what was that? It was not. It was. We couldn't explain it. There was no explaining it, other than like a spirit passing through our foyer, singing. It was very scary.
Wild.
It like what? It was just like maybe 5 seconds. It was super loud. It wasn't like surround sound or anything like that. It was just my dad didn't hear it, and he was very much awake and working.
We need to have a medium on so that we can like ask them about that.
That was
Did you guys
so
live?
weird.
No one lived in your house before you guys
No,
lived in
we
it, right?
built
It was built.
it.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
what
was
you
like-
said.
that's why I
was
was
it
like-
built on anything, Lauren?
That's the only
There
ghostly
would have been more weird shit in
experience
the
we've
house.
had. Yeah.
For some reason, when you tell me that someone's singing opera and you guys like live in Virginia, it like makes sense in my head. I don't know why.
Not really. I think that's Pocahontas and dig.
No,
dig,
that's not.
diggity,
No,
dig,
opera
dig,
is
dig, 'cause
like
there's,
very like you guys are like from the Northeast. It's like so old school.
I think of Virginia as literally the settlers.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Jamestown. and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't think.
I just think of that whole part of the world.
Well, I don't think of that part of the world when you think about
The second
opera.
story is in the house too. A very,
really?
very small thing that happened to me.
God, Lauren, the closet doors.
Yeah.
Lauren, that's freaking weird.
What happened?
It's not a
Okay,
small thing.
Okay, so first of all, I know this happens with going back to the sleep expert. When you're falling asleep, you feel outside things, blah, blah, blah. I was falling asleep, almost asleep, and I felt someone push me. Like, take my shoulders and push me.
I think you've told me this actually.
And then I wake up and I was like, God, that was scary. But, must have been, a dream.
Yeah.
So I was like, where's my water? I always sleep with a water
Oh,
bottle
you
in
told
my
us
bed.
this on the Dream podcast. You felt someone pushed you.
No, this is different.
This is different.
Yeah.
Well, and then
Keep going.
I was reaching for the water, couldn't find it, and I look up and I'm like, did I put it on the nightstand? And I always have my closet doors closed because demons live in there.
And she always has her water bottle
And
next to her bed.
So then I wake up, I look around, I notice that my closet doors are open and the water bottle is standing right inside of it. And I was like
in the center.
What?
I was like, she has two at home. She has 2 closet doors, like 2
What?
closets. So but they're both next to each other. So the doors, both like all 4 doors were open.
So the whole thing was open.
the doors were wide open and the water was standing right there. It was almost like this ghost was like, watch this bitch get scared.
No,
She needs her water.
Do you get terrified
So
or do you
in the
get
middle
into
of the night,
it?
I'm still a little groggy. I'm like, that's fucking weird. And then in the morning, I realized how scary it
Lauren,
was.
that's so scary. The water bottle
What the
sitting in
fuck?
between,
just standing there. Yeah,
open doors.
Like someone just opened the closet
yeah. I was like,
and
this
was
bitch
like
likes her
thirsty.
midnight water. Yeah,
That's wild.
really weird.
Then talk about the time that you were in Greystone.
That one's a little iffy because people won't believe my EVP reader.
Really?
Yeah, we'll call someone else and then maybe we'll see how their
We'll
story
see.
is.
Okay, all right, fine. Because I want to share the other EVP reader, which is more spiritual than it is like scary,
Yeah.
and that was at Bubby's house.
Do you still have one?
It's on my
Just
phone.
on a phone. It's just an app.
Oh.
I have like EMF readers. Okay, let's call caller number 3. Okay, everyone, we have our third caller, Shelly, on the line. Why don't you tell us your spooky story?
Ooh.
Okay, so this was senior year of college, and I went to a small private school right outside of Chicago. It looks like Hogwarts, like the perfect place for
Learning.
like a spooky story. Yes,
For
and also
spells.
learning. Yes. So, and we have lots of ghost stories that, we used to do haunted tours at Halloween, but like the only time I ever experienced anything like scary was senior year. I was writing my senior thesis, and so was my best friend. And so we had these giant wine boxes full of books, and like we never wanted to carry them back to our dorm. So we used to hide them in the interfaith prayer room off of the old library, because no one ever went in there unless they were praying, and they had cabinets where like no one ever used. So we used to just like stash them in there. And one night we were in the reading room super late. And so we go in, and the light switch is behind the door, and there was no one in there because it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So like most people aren't there. They're either partying or sleeping or studying, whatever. So we go in the door, and the lights turn on. And the switch is behind the door. There's no sensor. There's no like, no way that it should have turned on without one of us turning it on. My friend throws her books, like whole box of books, like is gone. I just like put our books away because I was like, okay, like that's super weird, but like it's Dominican, like that's what happens. And so the rest of the semester, she used to make me go in there by myself and get our books and put them away at the end of the night because she refused to go back in there.
Spooky.
Yeah. So just like super mild, but like enough that it's like, you know, years later, I don't forget it.
Yeah. So since we have time, do you want us to say your second story as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the this was like a year later. I was 3 hours away from home, living in an apartment by myself, and I had my great grandmother's bedroom set. So antique, old, but like sturdy because they used to build things a lot better than IKEA furniture. And one morning I wake up to this loud crashing sound, and I was sure that there was someone in my apartment. And I have never been more scared in my life, but I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. Like, it was the only time I've ever experienced sleep paralysis. And I thought there was a dog standing on my chest.
Oh my God.
At least it was a dog. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but it was like a Great Dane, so it's like bigger than I am. And I was just like, I couldn't breathe. It was so scary. So when I finally was able to move, I get up, I've got like my flashlight out on my phone. I'm like looking for someone, like throwing on all the lights. And there's no one in my apartment. My doors and windows are locked. I come back into my room, and the sound I heard was my mirror unscrewed itself from the dresser and like smashed all over my bedroom floor.
Wait, in real life or in your dream?
No, in real life.
Oh my God.
It just unhinged itself, like unscrewed itself from the dresser and was smashed all over the floor.
That's terrifying.
At the exact same time or when you woke up?
That was the crash that I heard that woke me up.
Right.
And I didn't turn on the light in my room, and so somehow my bare feet didn't get cut on the glass.
Thank God.
But that's what I found when I turned on the light when I came back in my room. So I don't know how that happened either.
If I ever woke up to a mirror, I think mirrors breaking when you're awake are scary.
Yeah.
But waking up to a mirror falling and shattering, to me is so scary.
I just see a ghost looking in the mirror and be like, ah! And then breaking
Yeah, you see
the mirror.
fragmented pieces of something behind you.
I think that comes from your childhood watching Double Double Toilet Trouble.
That's where it's from.
Lauren, that's 100%.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shelly, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Love you.
Love
Thanks for
sharing.
calling in.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Lauren,
Yeah.
I think you need to read the whole story because I think these stories are scary, right? But especially to the person experiencing it. And they're not like as horrific, I think, as we thought they were going to be.
I read the first sentence and I assume, wow, there's got to be a good end, you know?
Is that what you do
that's
with
what I
books?
do.
No, Lauren she's I don't know.
Hopeful?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you should share your Greystone story for a second. Just real quick.
Real quick, Greystone was an insane asylum that was run down in New Jersey. I used to spend my free time there.
Wait, it's actually really...
No, it was a mental hospital. It was the biggest one in the entire country.
I just did something on Greystone.
Well, they knocked it down like 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Apparently it was the most haunted or something place in the entire world or something at one point. I'm going to look it up.
Keep
I think I'm thinking of
exaggerations,
another
but
one.
still.
It was in my script. I'll look it up.
Okay.
It's in New Jersey. And Lauren, one time we all snuck in together. It was us, our cousin, and her boyfriend. And we were just like, I was horrified. Okay, horrified. There was like still the tables and stuff where they would do that.
There were lobotomy chairs,
and stuff. So then Lauren goes back at night.
It was like
this
2 a.m.
guy that was like her best friend, who she also used to make out with all the time, and
best kind of relationship.
All your relationships.
Then they snuck in at like midnight, and they went to the chapel.
chapel.
So there's like a chapel in there, and it's like a full blown church. And
It's definitely the scariest place.
Yeah,
in the whole
definitely.
Place.
Sounds terrifying.
It looks like a place that you would find those things in True Detective where they like have horns and then they like put
people
like
hung
antlers
baby
on.
dolls in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
so continue. The
So
juice.
I always have my EVP reader going when I'm in there, which basically
Explain what it is.
It takes spirit voices and turns them into like electronic voices. So like the spirits manipulate this EVP reader.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, it picks up. They don't manipulate.
They manipulate the energy to say words. Okay, so the spirits are talking through this thing. Okay,
Got it.
and so it's going. It's not saying anything, and then dumbass me and Garrett started making out in the chapel, and I was like, he was like, this would be kind of cool, and I'm like, this would be cool, and then he unhooked my bra, and the second he unhooked my bra, it goes, demons. Yes, and then
And it never says shit
It
like
never
this.
said
If you have it like on
be
at
like
home
doorknob.
when you're watching TV, it's like water bottle.
it never says anything like this.
It's like water bottle. Yeah.
So then we go, what? And then he goes, suffer.
What?
So then we grab our shit and run as fast as we can out of this fucking building.
Holy
and it's a maze.
shit.
It's a maze.
Oh,
it took us like 5
actually
minutes.
like
to
the Pentagon.
yeah. So we had to run through these abandoned hallways at about 3 a.m. and we step outside and it goes angels.
As soon as they get outside.
As soon as we get outside.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
See, Lauren's got the best
What?
stories. She's just sitting here, part of our crew. The other one about the EVP reader that I like sharing with people, because it was one of the times where I was like, wait a second, Lauren might be onto something with these like energies and stuff.
Right.
So it was probably like around the same time as this, because you started using your EVP reader a lot. So we go over to our grandma's house, and this was at a time where like we didn't go over there like very often, and we were there with our family. And we walk in, and it's like running for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden it says Dominic of all names.
Right.
That's our grandfather's name.
Oh.
so
Who died
weird.
20 years ago now. I mean, at the time it was like probably like 15 years.
Yeah.
Do you
And
guys freak out?
Yeah, we
we're like,
freaked
oh
out.
my God. And then it goes, is here.
Yeah. Oh God. And
Isn't
three
that
separate.
crazy?
And 3 separate.
Did you
it was
tell
Dominic
Bubby?
is here. She doesn't believe in this shit at all. She's like,
Okay.
he's dead.
She's like, he is part of the ground now.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But
Did you guys talk to him?
What
No,
do you
that
mean?
was it. That's all I needed. And
But you didn't like say, you didn't like try and communicate?
Oh yeah, we were. Yeah,
yeah.
we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know
But
we
basically,
got-
that was it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was just crazy. I have all names. It could have been like Brian, Paul, but it was like Dominic.
Yeah.
So weird.
Dominic
In all
in
places.
Bubby's house. It's so weird.
That's crazy. And you guys
in
were
his
right.
own in his old home.
I had to talk about the Missouri State Penitentiary,
that's what you're
penitentiary.
talking
which
about.
is the oldest prison west of the Mississippi,
Okay.
and is really, and then the Pennhurst Asylum.
Pennhurst Asylum.
I love that you just know all this,
Yes.
Lauren. It's so cool. You're so cool.
Can I also say that
We should like call people that used to work there back in the day.
Yeah. Definitely. There's
Wouldn't
still
that
people
be
work there.
interesting?
We can get the contact from Jamie from
yeah,
what one was that?
yeah, I'm the one outside Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll work on
Yeah.
that.
Or I can try and get Ryan and Shane on
Yes.
from BuzzFeed's
Yes.
Unsolved.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
They're
Yes.
so
Yes.
funny.
Amazing. Okay, so we are going to call our next caller. All right. All right, everyone, we have Jackie on the line, and she's about to tell us one of the scariest stories on this podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Is it going to?
I
be
don't
Is
know.
it going to be scary, Lauren?
Let's
We'll
find out. Jackie, tell your story.
Yeah, it's a little more spooky and freaky than scary. But basically, I was in my parents' home. I was probably around like 19 or 20 years old. And I was taking a nap in my room. So then as I'm napping, I'm not really sleeping or dozing off yet. I'm just kind of laying down. I feel someone like lay right next to me, and I'm laying on my side. So I feel like the pressure of the bed go down. I literally hear my sheets kind of lower. So then I'm thinking like, oh, like why the hell is my mom laying next to me? Because we're not that kind of family.
Mom, what are you doing here?
And then I'm thinking, exactly. And then I'm like, wait, like my mom's running errands. And then, of course, I'm panicking in my head, like, oh, my God, someone break in and they're, like, laying in my bed like a creep. Like,
And your eyes are closed the entire time, or you just haven't turned over?
No, I'm under the covers. So I kind of put the covers over my head because it was, like, in the middle of the day. So that's why I wasn't even at night, like I'm hallucinating or in a dream. It was broad daylight and I was napping. So I had the covers over my head when I felt it. So then I'm thinking, like, I have to look. Like, if someone's in my room, I have to identify the person.
Hello? Who's there?
Actually, because she's paralyzed by fear.
No,
Shut up.
I'm like, I'd rather face. I feel like I'm an aggressive person, so I'm like, I'd rather just like start fighting if I see them or something, or if it's like a ghost. Or
Fight or
something.
flight,
Like,
fight or
and
flight.
for some reason, I got the image of I don't know if you've seen like Leprechaun or whatever. I had the image of like a leprechaun or something laying next to me. I'm like, if it's a demon,
You're so weird.
so then I'm like, I
love
gotta
it.
face it.
Wait, like you thought
Yeah,
it was a
because I'm
little
like
leprechaun?
so many images in my head. So then I'm like, oh my God. So finally, like I just like throw off the covers and nothing's there.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh shit, okay, like that was just weird. So then I didn't move or anything.
No
I still fell
leprechaun.
asleep. No leprechaun. So then I'm like I fall asleep and then I wake up and I'm thinking like that was really weird. And then so later on I'm like thinking like, and then it like clicked in me like I just got a flash. I remember my mom years later, I was probably like in grammar school, she telling us the story of like, yeah, like I like napping in your girl's room. And there's 3 sisters and we're split between 2 rooms. And then we're just like, whose room? And she's like, I'm not going to tell you guys. I want to freak you out. She's like, but I would like to nap in your room. And one time I felt somebody lay next to me. So then I thought like, oh my God, my mom kind of said the same thing. So when my parents got home that evening, I told them like what happened. And then my mom's like, it was your room that I felt that. She's like, I literally felt the same thing. I was sleeping in your room because the sun doesn't go through the shades like during the day. Like you have the least amount of sunlight in there. She's like saying, same thing. I was sleeping and I felt someone lay next to me. And this was years before. So it wasn't like,
crazy.
I just kind of like took that with me. So then my dad, so me and my sisters, of course, start freaking out. Like, what the hell? And my dad's like, yeah, you know, the couple, there was an older couple that lived here before us. The man actually died from pancreatic cancer in the house. So he's like, you know what? He's like, your girl shouldn't be scared. He's like, we're a family that lives here. We pray. If anything, he's probably watching over us. They're like, it's real people you should be scared of, not like this spirit. If anything, they're probably protecting us. He's just like with the girls.
He's
So
just
it kinda
sleeping
gave us
in your
comfort, but
bed.
it was still kind of creepy.
That is
Exactly.
really
I'm like, he
creepy.
sees girls sleeping
He's
alone.
just trying to rest, man.
He just wants to cuddle.
He wants to cuddle buddy.
Girls.
You know what's
That's
what
creepy.
That's good. You're my favorite story of the podcast.
You know what I thought you were going to say?
Oh.
I thought you
What?
were going to say that your mom just creepily would like sneak in bed with you and then
no,
leave. And I was like, no, that is kind of creepy.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really
and
good.
then another side note is like when my parents first bought the house, my older cousin from Mexico was kind of here and like just helping them clean out the house. And then when they went to pick her up, she was like, she always was just kind of like in tune with stuff like that. And she's like, did somebody die in the house? And they were like, yeah. She's like, it was an older man. He died of cancer, didn't he? She's like, I just felt it. So they were like, holy shit. So he's like a strong presence. So my parents still live there till this day too.
Oh, that's
wow.
cool.
All right. Well, that's a
Yeah,
really
it's
good
still
story.
like our childhood home.
Yeah, that's cool. He
That
lives
was
there
great.
too. Aw.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
you.
sharing. and
You're
calling
right.
in.
No, thanks for calling.
It's not scary. It's like a little. It's
creepy.
eerie.
Yeah,
Ew,
eerie.
if you felt someone lay down
Yeah.
and you were alone in the house.
Well, once you find out
the
like
leopard.
about like the history
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
you're like, oh, a little man.
Yeah.
Oh, I like your approach to this.
Yeah.
Jackie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The leprechaun made me laugh.
Yeah.
No, thank you for calling. I'm glad I got to share. I love your guys' podcast. I'm like an avid listener.
Where are you from?
Thank you.
Where do you live?
Actually, so like, it's funny because I'm in line to go. I don't know if you guys know the artist Hebrew Brantley.
No.
He did like Chance the Rapper's videos. He does like murals around Chicago.
Oh, cool.
So we're actually in line to go to like an exclusive view of his event. So I'm actually in line with my friends, and I was talking to them about the podcast. And the girl who's letting us in line, she's like, wait, are you guys talking about The Bachelor? She's like, Tyler's actually my friend. He was just here. And she's showing us pictures from like all of Hannah's last season with them. And she's like, I'm about to text these guys and tell them you guys are talking about them. And I'm like, what a small freaking world.
That is small.
So crazy.
Thank
What
you
is it?
so
Wait,
much.
Hubert Brantley? I want to look him up. What's his name?
Yeah, he's a big Chicago artist, Hebrew Brantley.
Okay, dope. Thank you.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thanks for listening. It means the world.
Yes.
No, yeah, you guys are awesome. I love you guys. Lauren, it feels like my spirit animal.
I know. I was like,
I feel like
I really
you're
connect
like
to
my
this chick.
designated Latina.
I was like, where do you live? I live in Chicago. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
No, thank you. Bye.
Cool. I like that story.
Yeah, me too.
Creepy. All right. We have Kimberly on the line. She's our last one of the day. So let's hear your scary story.
Okay, so this all happened, I think it was like 8, maybe 7 years ago. It was my junior year of high school. I was staying with my aunt for like a month or two, and her house was for sure haunted. I'm pretty sure they had other experiences before I even went and stayed with them for a little bit. But I just have like 2 things that I remember clearly happening while I was there. Mm-hmm. One time, my older cousin, she was like a year older than me. She was a senior. I was a junior. She had like a couple friends over for a sleepover, and we were all staying in the same room. And in the middle of the night, one of her friends wakes up and is like, there's a kid in the room. And because she saw like a figure of like a child walking in the room.
Ew.
Like in the middle of the night, she like turned on the lights in the room and she like woke us all up. And like we searched her room and there was like nothing in there and nobody in there. And she had like, I have like a younger cousin and I think he wasn't there or he was in his room sleeping. Either way, there was like no way he could have gotten in and us not noticed and then gotten out if she like woke up all of a sudden. It wasn't him. We still don't know who it was.
Just
it was
creepy ghost boy.
Yeah.
Ew.
And,
creepy.
And then
why are little kids so creepy? I was
don't
thinking
know.
about that when I was
Why-
watching The
why are they
Shining.
in all-
Like,
yeah.
why? What is it about a little boy that is so eerie?
Lack of control.
What?
It all wraps up
Like
again in the
morals?
end because, from like something we talked about like just a couple weeks ago. But then another instance we had, me and my cousin were sitting on like a Saturday. It was just us there alone. We had been alone for hours. We were just sitting watching TV. And all of a sudden, like the washing machine and the dryer turn on. Like we're nowhere near the laundry room. They just turn on by themselves. Nobody else is in the house. And we got so spooked we had to like leave because we were like, how the hell did this happen?
That is creepy.
And it didn't have like a timer or anything, I'm assuming?
No, because maybe they did have timers back then. But I don't know. But then we also had like instances where like TV would turn on and off and like change channels. But I don't know. I hate spooky stuff. So I don't like to think that it was a ghost, you know? So
Right.
it's like we would just ignore the fact of the television doing that randomly.
That's wild.
But a couple weeks ago, we were all together again. And I don't know how it got brought up, but my youngest cousin, because he was like really young at that time. He was like maybe like 6 or like 7 because he's now like a freshman in high school. Mm-hmm. And he was telling us because he would like my aunt and uncle are divorced, so he would like go away to his dad's house like on weekends, and he was telling us how his like stepmother was like making fun of him because like when he was younger he used to have like an imaginary friend and he used to hate leaving like my aunt's house to go there because he's like, my imaginary friend can't come with me. And so, and like that's even more spooky because my aunt said that like when he wasn't there, sometimes his like toys would be brought out and she could hear like them getting played with. Like I think that happened like one time.
That's crazy.
So that's basically
that's
your
really
cousin
creepy.
was playing with the ghost you saw running around the room.
Isn't that
That's
like
wild.
the others? It's like
yeah,
the others.
it's totally like the others.
Yeah.
That's creepy. And he can't leave the house because he's stuck there. His soul's
Right.
stuck there.
Well, thank you so much for
Wow.
sharing. Very
I
creepy.
know. Thanks for calling in.
No problem. Love you guys.
Oh,
thank
love
you.
you too. Thanks for listening.
That's creepy. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
That's very creepy.
And it says that you probably won't listen to this podcast because you're scared of things, right?
I can't do anything
hilarious.
scary.
You're so funny. That's
Okay.
funny.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 That reminded me of something. So you guys remember Jamie, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago? We talked about how her mom had passed away from ovarian cancer, and when she did, Jamie's niece was really young. She was probably like
3.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 3,
if that.
Yeah. But so like fast forward a year from her mom passing away, her mom's all like, we mentioned briefly that her mom was like always making little appearances. But there is this one time they were like, said to the niece, you're like, why do you want to like go in the closet all the time? Like it was grandpa's closet, you know, it's her dad's closet. And she goes, because grandma hangs out in there. Whoa. And I'm like, Mary Hoskins, why are you hanging out in your closet?
Yeah, seriously.
That's creepy.
Like, why would she ever say that as a child?
I know,
exactly.
Unless
like
she
was
grandma,
in the
like grandma
100%.
who is not in this world anymore.
Right.
Because grandma's in the closet.
That's
I have goosebumps again.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's like kids can see things like that. They're so much more open, susceptible.
Maybe that answers my question on
Why they're
when I
creepy?
said why are kids creepy, obviously I didn't mean in real life.
They have
I mean in the
sixth
horror
senses.
genre.
Yeah.
That is
Sixth
exactly
senses,
why.
yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, but
right.
even seeing a child standing at the foot of your bed is almost as scary as like seeing a grown person, or is it scarier?
I mean, to me,
I
the
don't
creepiest
know.
thing is having a man that's passed away in your house laying in bed with you. That was, are there any other stories, Lauren, that you feel like were crazy that we could just read?
Well,
or?
let's go through and see what we haven't read yet.
You sound like Kathy Bates in American Horror Story.
Yeah. Vanessa says, when we moved into our current home, an old farmhouse, my son, who was 2 years old at the time, constantly talked about someone named Josh. We had no friends or really even knew anyone named Josh, so it was super random. He then starts telling us that Josh lives in the attic of our house. He would then tell us that Josh was a little boy whose mother put him in the attic, but would sometimes come downstairs to play with him. So
It's the same.
a little boy Josh was murdered in the attic.
No, it's another imaginary friend
Yes.
situation. Like Tony.
So now I guess when your kid has an imaginary friend, you got to take it a little bit more seriously.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think parents do.
Yeah. What else? I think we called.
All right, guys. Well, that is our Halloween horror podcast. Remember, guys, be careful with all the candy that you're collecting this week. And, make sure you're not eating anything random.
Do you check your candy?
Yeah, my parents always check my candy, and then my mom would take all the fucking Kit Kats, and I get so mad
Oh
at her.
my God.
I know.
Mom.
She'd take
I
Kit
know.
Kats herself.
She put them in the fridge.
Pay her dues.
I know. She's like, this is my commission for walking you around.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Wait, do you guys know where you're going to be for Halloween this year?
I'm just going to stick Jared in costumes,
You
she
talk
asked
about him
what
like
you
he's
were going to
in-
be.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not really sure. We thought about being. I said that to humor him would be Tom or Giselle one night. I'm really not sure how I'm supposed to be Giselle. I really don't think I can.
boring.
do it.
Well, then we can finally get our color costumes. But yeah, that's a boring costume, Ashley.
Well,
For Giselle.
And then I want to just dress him up like Interview from a Vampire, as I've wanted to do for literally the past 5 years
Since
now.
you first saw him,
Since
you
I
said
first
you
saw
shall
him.
be interviewed with a vampire.
You shall be Tom Cruise in Interview
And
with
you
a
can
Vampire
be,
with me. I'm going to be Kirsten Dunst.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
one.
what I want to do. So, I'm just going to order everything for him, I guess.
Great.
I love how
should
it's
I
like,
be
Do you
Brad
want
Pitt
to
or
go to
something?
American Horse? Do you want to go to the American Vintage store later?
I looked the other day. It was bad. But
nothing.
Do they have vampire suits?
I don't know. I'm gonna be.
What are you going to be?
I'm gonna be May Queen from Midsommar.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
Is Jack going to dress up from
Yeah, he should
Midsommar?
participate. Yeah.
You're so funny.
Okay. Well, everyone.
what
Sorry,
are
it
you
wasn't
being?
super
I
scary.
don't know. Yeah, this year's hard because I know every year. I think I wanted to do Elton John in the glittery Dodger costume.
that's really cool.
That Harry also wore, just because it brings my love of music, sports, and movies.
I really
in
like
one.
that.
But I still got to come up with another one. I want to do remember when Kim did Cher in the 2-piece yellow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really hard to find though. I don't know where I would get a costume like that. But okay, guys.
Okay, guys. Sorry you weren't probably horrified, but there were some good goosebumps
This
in
is pretty
there.
on par for our horror series because I feel like some are always in line with what we're advertising, and then they were all definitely scary. I
Yeah.
think from the person's perspective,
Totally.
It's just I don't know if they were horrific. Does that make sense?
Right. There was no
Yeah.
horrific. I wanted
Yeah.
someone.
No, the girl in the room. with the fire alarm.
Oh, that was it. That was
good.
hands down the scariest thing I've heard in a long time.
#goosebumps.
Second of all, I wanted someone who had like an intruder and they had to hide in the closet. Didn't get any of those.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have vetted a little bit earlier, so
That's true.
our
This
bad,
was
but-
put together in 2 days. So, anyways,
We love
full
you guys.
transparency, guys.
all right, love you. Please rate and
Subscribe,
subscribe and follow
follow-
me on Instagram. Follow Naz on Instagram, and you probably already follow Ashley on Instagram. But give us some love.
And I Don't Get It podcast on Instagram.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.